Ooh, martial artists got another update. This time, they changed it. Spoiler, I've already read through all the changes. My mic wasn't, I had a Windows update and it completely messed up everything on my computer, if you can't tell. Anyway, short story, I recorded this already, second time recording. So, I already read everything, so this should be very quick here. So, auto attack functionality has changed. It is now an auto attack. Wow. The class will be kept at a performance level similar to the current live non-testing version, while also being more accommodating for those with higher latencies. Now, they went with a patch note here, a whole thing. I already read it, that's why I was at the bottom there, but we can go over it here. So it starts off with, many of you took to different social media sites this past week to express your disappointment regarding the newly released martial artist class. We hear you loud and clear and are making some much needed changes based on your feedback. The good news, we just released this year's birthday class, martial arts, which uses a mostly, except for the other class that has it, unique auto attack function. The not so good news, martial artist auto attack function is heavily reliant on server connectivity. So is the other one probably, meaning players with higher server response times are seeing noticeably poorer performance than those with lower response times. Additionally, many of you feel that the class requires way too many skill inputs. You think half a second cooldown? I'm supposed to click the auto attack button every half a second. Okay. In order to keep a level playing field between players in different regions, this is really weird reading this in an AQ World's design notes post, because this is like something you'd read in a PvP game, like a Counter-Strike update or something. Like a fighting game, maybe like Street Fighter. Why is this in it? Anyway, while also reducing the amount of times buttons need to be pressed. We have shifted martial artists from its connection-based manual auto attack to a standard auto attack. This means that the way the class plays has been significantly changed, but I already read through this. It is basically a completely different class now. But its overall performance levels remain roughly the same, while still keeping a higher skill ceiling than most classes. As martial arts is intended to be a late game class, its performance levels may not reach those of certain end game classes. What? That you're contradicting yourself in this sentence. As martial arts is intended to be a late game class, its performance levels may not reach those of certain end game class. Okay, make that make sense. But anyway, you may see improved results if you have specific enhancements or gear to go along with it. We made this class for the Dauntless enhancement is what they meant to write there, I think. But once again, a big thank you to all of those who left feedback on martial artists. We're sorry we didn't meet your expectations and hope you have a much more enjoyable experience with the new version of the class. Class changes. All right, so what changed? Let's see, because it's basically a completely different class now. Because I already read this. So, Pummel is now an auto attack. Stance skills now deal damage and consume all mana when used, but every 2 uses of Pummel grants enough mana to swap stances again. The amount of Pummels required to fully stack Frogzard and Grillifin auras have been reduced. The haste granted from Swift Strike passive and crit chance granted from Grillifin based stances have been reduced in order to balance the class at lower levels, but should be unattainable once forged enhancements are obtained. Wait, what? Did I read this right? Should be unattainable once forged enhancements are obtained. Anyway, concentration still reduces mana costs, but with the new intent of allowing stances to be swapped quicker while also increasing damage output. All right, so that's kind of like the meat of what changed. Let's go over the numbers here. So your auto attack went from giving you 50 mana to now costing, from costing 50 mana to giving you 50 mana. I got it backwards. So it used to cost 50, now it gives you 50, and this is the way you regain your mana basically. They upped the cooldown to 1.5 from half a second there, and they took 5% damage off of it. Don't know why, I guess, whatever. So mana costs went from giving you 100 to taking 100, and that is consistent for all, so I'm not going to read that for all these. Same with the cooldown. Cooldown is consistent for these two as well. Well, basically everything is consistent for these two, so yeah, you target someone else, yeah, same. And then, so here we have the stacks went from 8 to 12, but less stacks. So you get more per stack, but less stacks, reducing max stacks by 2 on there. So down to 4 stacks. So you're going to get max stack on that pretty quickly compared to how it used to be, especially because the skill cooldown is even less too. So max stacking is going to be faster. And then the cooldown is the same as this. So 3 seconds here, 3 seconds there. Cooldown's the same as your mana regeneration basically on the class for these. So very simple class. So one thing they did change here was that this one basically says the same other than the cooldowns changing, all that. Crit chance increased while growth and stances are active, went from 50 down to 20, so that got reduced quite a bit, 30% reduction on that one. 20% is still quite a bit of crit chance. I will say it's not 50, it's not half, but it's 20 is still decent. And with the other changes, I don't know how that's going to balance out. You can't test the class out in game right now. It's probably coming with the update, like the Friday release update that's coming out very shortly here. But I can't test it for this video. It's just the design I was supposed to here. So Zard Gorilla Stance now also reduces magic resistance on your enemy, I'd imagine. So that's really good. Zard Gorilla Stance physical and magical resistance reduction per stack went from 5 to 8 and 4 magic stacks. So same as the other one there. And then Dragon Gorilla Stance no longer reduces your target's outgoing damage. That's okay because it moved down to the Soaring Dragon skill here. Dragon Stance now causes Pummel to reduce your target's outgoing damage by 15% for 20, stacking up to 2. So you're getting 30% damage reduction. That's loopable there, so you can keep that up as long as you're alive there. And then Dragon-based stances no longer increase damage resistance by 30%. I think, didn't that move up to this one? Anyway, and then Zard Dragon Stance dot resistant reduction, same change as the other one, 4 stack, 12%, so of the old 8, and then increase the damage of Zard Dragon Stance DOT. They don't list how, I wish they would list numbers here on these sign-ups posts, because like, if the old base was like 100 damage and then scaled with enhancements right up to like whatever, like thousands of damage just doing at level 100, I wish they'd say like scale from base 100 to base 125. I wish they'd say something like that on the design notes for these in particular when they talk about like HOTs and DOTs being increased, because they have base numbers, like you can tell in game, right? Like your dot pretty consistently does the same amount of damage. It's not like a range. It's usually like a set number it does based, and then based on what enhancements you have, it scales it up or whatever. But they never list that here for some reason. I don't know. And then your concentration cooldown went to 30 seconds, and Pummel no longer increases mana costs while fully focused is active. Your haste got cut in half on your passive, and your endurance training now also increases your damage resistance on top of the endurance by 20% as well. So pretty good. And then they add a thing here for different classes. So that's all the changes here. As you can tell, it's basically a completely different class. The way you play it. You're basically spamming out all your other skills while your auto attack is auto attacking and getting you your mana back. So completely different how the class plays. So I'm interested to see how it plays in game. I'll probably test it on stream tonight for that, and I'll probably might upload a separate video if it's like big enough of a change to matter. Like if I really like it or really don't like it, or if I have an opinion strongly one way or the other, I'll probably make a separate video for that. And then the legendary passives. So to a bunch of test versions of classes, they added a legendary passive. Now, this update is in the game. I haven't checked these, but this is probably not in the game either at the moment. I deleted Void High Lord test, sadly. I think I might still have Legion Rev test. Let me go check in game. Yeah, I have Legion Revenant test. Took it on my bank. Let's see what the legendary passive is. I haven't seen this yet, so I don't know if it's actually in game. It might have to wait for the update along with the other one. So let's see here. Class overview. We only have the rank 5 here. So yeah, it doesn't have a rank 10 passive, so no legendary passive on this one that I can see here. Yeah, these are all skills. So, but they say they're adding a legendary passive to the other classes. So anyway, that's the video. I don't know what the legendary passive will be for test classes. Kind of a weird thing to add to classes way after the fact, considering a lot of people probably might have deleted them for inventory space if they're not AC tagged, like a lot of the old test ones weren't, or they just perma bank them. So anyway, thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you think of these changes now that the class basically completely changed. Is an auto attack class where you use your skills like every other class to do the damage. They made it more of a normal class now. I'm sure some people aren't gonna like that because there was actually in the comment section I read some people did like the class. It wasn't the majority by any means, but there was definitely, I was seeing some people saying like, yeah, I really like this class, like it's good. Maybe those are the people with like 0 ping or something, I don't know, but I know every time I used it felt very, it didn't feel great DPS wise, and it definitely didn't feel great having to like full speed spam 24/7 to do anything with the class, like constantly going like that. Just, it felt kind of bad, and like it was made for a macro. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. Love to read them down in the comments, and I'll see you next one. Thanks for watching. Leave a like on the video and subscribe. Bye bye.